The arena floor trembled as the Krillian Warbeast emerged from its containment chamber. Standing 12 feet tall on powerful haunches, its obsidian carapace gleamed under the harsh lights of the Colosseum. Forearms ended in razor-sharp talons, each capable of rending titanium plating. Bioluminescent patterns pulsed along its spine, a warning display that had preceded the deaths of countless gladiators. Captain Sarah Chen watched from the prisoner's alcove as the beast tested the air with forked tongues. Her fellow survivors from the UES Harmony had already fallen to other creatures in this twisted spectacle. She was the last human in Krillian space, the final entertainment before her species was declared extinct in the galactic census. The crowd of assembled aliens roared their approval, a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and subsonic rumbles from dozens of species. To them, humans were nothing more than a primitive curiosity, barely worthy of the arena. They had conquered Earth in 3 days, harvesting most of humanity for their slave markets before growing bored with the unremarkable species. "Behold," announced Overlord Vextar through the arena's translators, "the final specimen of the failed species that dared resist the Krillian Empire. Watch as our greatest creation demonstrates why humanity deserves extinction." The containment field dropped. The Warbeast moved with terrifying grace, closing the distance between itself and Sarah in seconds. She rolled aside as talons scraped gouges in the arena floor where she had stood. The creature's head swiveled to track her movement, intelligence gleaming in its compound eyes. Sarah had read the classified files during her military service. Warbeasts were the Krillian's masterpiece, creatures engineered from the genetic material of conquered species, enhanced with cybernetic implants, and conditioned for absolute aggression. This one bore the hallmarks of at least 6 different alien physiologies, perfected through centuries of bioengineering. She ducked behind a metal barrier as the beast's secondary arms launched a volley of bone spikes. The projectiles punched through the barrier like paper. Her military training kicked in: assess, adapt, survive. But what could one unarmed human do against a creature designed to be the perfect killer? The beast circled the barrier, its movements patient and calculated. It had learned from thousands of arena matches that prey eventually made mistakes. Sarah studied its gait, its breathing patterns, the way its bioluminescent patches shifted color. Something nagged at her, a familiarity she couldn't place. Then she saw it. The slight limp in the creature's rear left leg, the way it favored its right side when turning, the distinctive pattern of scars along its flank, partially hidden by the carapace plating. "No," she whispered, her blood turning to ice. "It can't be." The Warbeast paused, tilting its massive head at the sound. For a moment, the arena fell silent except for the hum of life support systems. Sarah stepped out from behind the barrier, her hands raised but not in surrender. The creature's eyes tracked her movement, talons flexing in anticipation, but she wasn't looking at a monster anymore. She was looking at the intelligence behind those compound eyes, searching for something that might still remain. "I know you," she said softly, her voice carrying across the arena. "I know what they did to you." The beast took a step forward, then stopped. Its bioluminescent patterns flickered in a sequence that seemed almost like confusion. Sarah's mind raced back to her first deployment, to a rescue mission on Kepler 442b. The mining colony under attack by Krillian raiders. The desperate evacuation. The choice she'd had to make between saving the civilians or going back for the research team. She'd chosen the civilians, as any good soldier would. But the research team had included Dr. Marcus Webb's daughter, 8-year-old Emma, who'd been visiting her father at the dig site. The girl who'd loved dinosaurs more than anything in the universe. Who'd shown Sarah her collection of model prehistoric creatures with such joy that it had made the hardened Marine captain smile for the first time in months. The girl who'd been captured when the Krillian reinforcements arrived too soon. "Emma," Sarah whispered. The Warbeast froze completely. The arena's crowd murmured in confusion as their ultimate predator simply stood motionless, its massive form trembling almost imperceptibly. Sarah took a careful step forward. "Emma Webb, your father's name was Marcus. He was a paleontologist. You had a stuffed triceratops named Spike that you carried everywhere." Her voice grew stronger, more certain. "You were going to be a dinosaur scientist just like Daddy when you grew up." The creature's head lowered slightly, and for a moment, Sarah could swear she saw something achingly human in those alien eyes. The bioluminescent patterns along its spine began to pulse in a new rhythm, not aggressive but almost mournful. "They took you," Sarah continued, fighting back tears. They turned you into this. But you're still in there, aren't you? You remember? The Warbeast Emma let out a sound unlike anything it had produced before. Not a roar or a hiss, but something that might have been a sob if vocal cords designed for terror could produce such a thing. The arena erupted in confusion. Overlord Vextar's translator crackled with outrage. Impossible. The conditioning is absolute. Eliminate the human immediately. But Emma didn't move. Instead, she slowly extended one massive talon toward Sarah, stopping just short of touching her face. The gesture was unmistakably gentle, achingly familiar, the same way she'd once reached out to pet Spike's fabric nose. I'm sorry, Sarah whispered, placing her hand against the creature's claw. I'm so sorry I couldn't save you. What happened next would become legend among the surviving human population scattered across the galaxy. Emma straightened to her full height and turned toward the Overlord's viewing platform. Her roar shook the entire arena, but it wasn't the sound of a mindless beast. It was the cry of a human child who remembered what had been stolen from her. The arena's security forces opened fire, but Emma moved with purpose now, not just instinct. She leaped impossible distances, her cybernetic enhancements turning her into a force of directed vengeance rather than random destruction. Barriers that had contained her for years crumbled like paper. Guards trained to handle wild beasts found themselves facing something far more dangerous. A creature with the power of a warbeast and the tactical intelligence of a human. In the chaos that followed, Sarah found herself swept up in the first human rescue she'd witnessed in 3 years. Emma carved a path of destruction through the arena's defenses, but her movements were precise, surgical. She targeted only the Krillian forces, carefully avoiding the other prisoner species in their holding cells. As they reached the arena's main power core, Emma turned to Sarah one last time. The creature's eyes held a clarity that spoke of recovered memories and a choice freely made. She gestured toward an escape pod with one massive claw, then toward the power core with another. No, Sarah said, understanding immediately. There has to be another way. But Emma was already moving toward the reactor housing, her intentions clear. The explosion would disable the station's defenses long enough for the escape pods to reach hyperspace, but someone had to stay behind to ensure the core went critical. Emma, wait! Sarah called out. But the creature that had once been a little girl who loved dinosaurs was already interfacing with the reactor controls, her cybernetic implants sparking as they overrode safety protocols. The last thing Sarah saw before the blast doors sealed was Emma's bioluminescent patterns forming a configuration she'd never seen before. A soft, rhythmic pulse that somehow reminded her of a child's lullaby. The explosion that followed could be seen from 3 star systems away. When the rescue ships arrived hours later, they found only debris and a single escape pod containing Captain Sarah Chen and detailed recordings of everything that had transpired. The story spread quickly through human underground networks. The Krillians had made their greatest mistake not in underestimating human military might or technological prowess, but in underestimating something far more dangerous: the bonds that made humans fight not just for survival but for each other. Emma Webb had been transformed into the perfect weapon, but in the end she had chosen to remain perfectly human. And across the galaxy, other warbeasts began to remember their names.